What is something you consider too serious to joke about? As someone from my country, Pierre Desproges said, "We can laugh of everything, but not with everyone. No matter the joke, someone, somewhere, won't like it." It means that, when it comes to jokes, nothing is off limits, but you just have to be careful about your audience. And #X200B. Edit. Wow, this blew up. Thanks for all the replies. And for the jokes. Winky face, I know that, in context, he didn't mean exactly that, but the point still stands. All dark jokes are okay, though, the wording is even more important. Joking about deep and difficult topics requires talent, so how you express yourself, I think, is very important. Whether every single question in AskReddit is for producing human-generated content for training AIs, because that's what it seems like these days. I spent a couple decades as a paramedic. A dark sense of humor was a survival skill as much as a coping mechanism, but that was usually kept internal. Regular people don't get it, because some of it is horrific. I don't joke about dead kids, because I've seen more than my share, and that shit ain't funny. I'd still probably crack funnies about bloated adult corpses though. Again, desensitized after hundreds of them. Just about everything else was fair game. Because this says you, there are a lot of things I personally hate hearing jokes about because they genuinely seem like the person is just trying to be edgy. If there is a heat of the moment, quick-witted, once-in-a-lifetime lineup for a dark joke about anything, sure. But saying, "Anyone want to hear a dark joke?" out of nowhere or not reading the room during a talk about that topic is just attention-seeking. I think the limit is when the person being joked about doesn't want to be joked about. I can make jokes about fat people, but it's not right to joke about a specific fat person. Race and politics. For me, joking about someone's mental health struggles is off limits. I've seen firsthand how deeply it can affect people, and it's not something to take lightly. Illness and disabilities of someone. Rape. I broke up with a guy who tried to make a joke about it right after I told him about my experience with almost being raped. I would never joke about someone's child's death. Miscarriage, stillborn, or child death are all off-limits MO. Rape from the standpoint of victim blaming, or jokingly saying "I'm gonna rape them," etc., it is not okay to perpetrate that as being lighthearted. Sexual assault is no joke. It perpetuates victim blaming and minimizes survivors' trauma. One topic I consider too serious to joke about is grief and loss. When someone is dealing with the death of a loved one, jokes about their situation can come off as deeply insensitive and dismissive of their pain. Grief is a personal and profound experience, and humor in this context can often feel hurtful rather than comforting. It's important to approach such sensitive subjects with empathy and respect, recognizing the emotional weight they carry. One thing I find too serious to joke about is someone's physical or mental health struggles. Jokes about illness, disability, or mental health can be deeply hurtful and dismissive of the real challenges people face. These issues are often personal and sensitive, and making light of them can contribute to stigma and make those affected feel even more isolated. It's important to approach these topics with empathy and respect, recognizing the impact they have on individuals' lives. Religions. Try to make jokes about religions. After that, you'll receive some Bible verses and holy mockery from religious hypocrites. Why but 9/11 jokes always annoy me lol, I get the shock value. Or whatever the fuck, it's just not funny in my opinion lol, to each their own of course. For me, it's suicide. Having lost a friend to suicide, I've seen firsthand how devastating it is for those left behind. Jokes about it can be really triggering for people who've been affected, and they might trivialize a serious issue. Being on a critical illnesses. Since these people are losing hope, we should be minded of what we say. Instead, let's make them feel more eager to live and have more hopes for tomorrow. When people tell racist jokes to test the water if they can be openly racist. You can joke about anything you want, but jokes have meaning, and if you don't want people to think you didn't mean that, you shouldn't say it. Holocaust jokes. I'm tired of them and so inappropriate. Must be like 6 million Holocaust jokes at this point. Just get rid of them, throw them in the fire, do whatever you have to do. Edit. No, seriously, they're not funny. There has to be a solution. Nothing. If the joke is funny, then it should be told. Shouldn't be any topics off limits. These jokes can often challenge boundaries or provokes thought, and if it's funny, it can help people process difficult subjects. Cancer. Being a patient really changes your life perspective. Being handicapped, when it's at the handicapped person's expense, when it makes them look bad. Sexual assault. 9/11. One thing I find too serious to joke about is trauma or abuse. These experiences can deeply affect people's lives, and making light of them can be hurtful and dismissive. Jokes about such topics can perpetuate stigma and make those who have suffered feel invalidated. It's important to approach these subjects with sensitivity and respect, recognizing the real impact they can have on individuals' lives. Humor can be a great tool, but it should never come at the expense of someone's pain or dignity. Jokes that are intended to make you laugh at someone being subjugated by an oppressor in some form. The topic itself is okay. E.g., jokes about rape are okay, but jokes that take a jab at a person getting raped are not. Rape. Child abuse. Never funny, always serious. Dead babies. You never know who in earshot may have suffered miscarriage or infant mortality. Just don't, ever. If you're going to make a dark joke, you have to make sure you're not punching down. A well-done joke about domestic violence, looking at you Matt Rife, should make fun of the perpetrator, not the victim. Also, it lands much better if you have experience with whatever you're joking about. Like being a survivor is going to make any kind of domestic violence joke go over better. Suicide, murder, sexual abuse, and rape. Tragedy is when I cut my finger. Comedy is when you fall down an open manhole and die. Mel Brooks. I would never joke in such a way as to put myself in danger. I would never joking drink bleach for the lulz. I would never jokingly shoot myself in the leg for internet points. An individual's insecurity. Don't joke about the weight of a friend who is struggling with it. A group/nation's common tragedy/traumatic event unless you're speaking to someone from that group who doesn't mind it. Like, don't joke about the Holocaust in general, unless you got a Jewish friend who particularly likes Holocaust jokes, then joke about it with them. You also don't joke about sexual harassment. We have evidence that joking about it is a common way of perpetuating it. Calling out 3 idiots. Also, generally don't make jokes at other people's expenses, and especially your loved ones. You can make fun of yourself for loving an imperfect person, but you don't make fun of others for being imperfect. Heart attack. The Holocaust. For me, mental health is something that's too serious to joke about. Many people struggle with mental health issues like depression, anxiety, and other disorders, often in silence. Jokes about these topics can be harmful and dismissive, reinforcing stigma and making it harder for those affected to seek help. We should aim to create an environment where people feel supported and understood, rather than trivializing their experiences through humor. Rape and sexual assault will never find it funny.